So let's continue on with the series on the different types of sports tournaments and their organisation. This video is looking at the super popular ladder. A ladder competition is used in many sports and is especially popular in racket sports such as badminton, squash and tennis. This doesn't limit its use to those sports, and I have seen it used in several other sports such as bowling and wrestling. It's called a ladder because of its resemblance in its original format to a ladder. The winning participants will move up a rung of the ladder, and at the top of the ladder is the best player. So how does a ladder work? Well, it works on a system of challenges. The challenges are made by participants and should not or cannot be declined. A challenge can be made against any player 1 or 2 positions above them in the ladder. When you are setting up the ladder, you can decide how many positions can be challenged. I have seen 3 positions, but that allows for players to leapfrog and avoid certain players, so I would keep it to 1 or 2 if I were you. All games should be played under the same rules, for example, the best of 5 and rally point in squash, and also at a mutually agreed time and venue between the 2 players involved in the match. If the lower placed player wins, then the players swap. If not, they stay where they are. This change is implemented immediately by the players themselves. The 2 players cannot play consecutively. They must make or accept and play another challenge from someone else first. Your ladder will have a policy on participation regarding holidays and players not getting involved. If there is any player, for whatever reason, not involved and not playing regularly, then they can be warned first and then ultimately removed from the ladder. A player can have a holiday or break for injury and have their position protected for a certain period of time. So let's have a quick look at a ladder in action. Shaquille Oatmeal can challenge either Mia Pork or Simone Smiles. He decides upon Mia Pork and they have a humdinger of a battle and Shaquille beats Mia. This means they will trade places. He will now be able to challenge either Simone Smiles or Alison Cat. Now there is a chance that either Simone or Alison have made or accepted challenges from other players around them. Also, Michael Welts might have contacted Shaq as well to challenge him from below. Shaq might have to bear that in mind when considering his next game. Don't forget he would be obliged to play Michael Welts. However, he receives no such challenge and so challenges Alison Cat. He wins that match as well and so changes place with her. You can imagine over the weeks and months all the different combinations of challenges happening on this ladder and the players moving according to the results. This is an up and down ladder. I recently ran a 6-month elite training camp for badminton in the Middle East, and we incorporated a ladder competition at the end of every training session. As the training took place in a school sports hall, I couldn't leave the ladder on the wall there and so improvised a bit and used a clothesline. Instead of going up and down, the winners moved to the left and the losers to the right. It was exactly the same principle as the up and down ladder. At the end of each session, I simply untied the clothesline with all the pegged players still in position. Next session I pegged it back up and we were ready to go again immediately. It was super popular and maybe it was something to do with and a reflection of my coaching, but the players were constantly asking to start the ladder competition. So let's have a quick look at this example working. Michelle Yes has been challenged by Rhonda Southsea. She could have challenged Mia Pork but decided upon Michelle Yes, Rhonda Southsea won, and so the 2 players change places. Winners go left, losers right. Let me tell you about some of the practicalities of the ladder competition. Unlike some other tournaments who need an organiser and administration, they need someone in charge, the ladder, once it's set up, is managed by its own participants. It really does rely on the honesty of players, and occasionally there has been uncertainty, but those same players involved in the uncertainty probably complain, argue, cheat, in other formats of tournaments, and so the problem is the player, not the ladder. It is a simple format of tournament to run, and the constantly changing positions keep it interesting. I have known ladders to be running for years, and this certainly proves its popularity and its tried and tested format. As the competition literally goes on forever, sometimes it is nice to spice it up with a date by which some sort of prizes are awarded. Another good point of the ladder is, unlike some other tournaments, there is no elimination or relegation. As well, you can have unlimited numbers in the ladder competition. It's an inclusive tournament in that, in principle, everyone can play against each other. Obviously, the player will need to win games to move up, but if you're good enough, there is nothing to stop you progressing up the ladder. It's a great way for participants to play against players they wouldn't normally play, and for newcomers to clubs to get involved immediately. There is a commitment to players to be flexible in playing. Not all players can play at the ideal time of the challenger. When initially setting up the ladder, players can be randomly entered onto the ladder to start, or you can place the best players at the bottom of the ladder and allow them to work up, or place them at the top and prevent any known mismatches happening. You decide. The levels of the ladder soon sort themselves out though. When playing in a newbie, usually they start from the bottom of the ladder. But if there is an obvious level that the player is at, it might be logical to place that player at their appropriate level in the ladder. However, this can lead to discontent from other players. Anyone leaving the ladder is fine. Simply remove that person and move the rest up. Another plus of the ladder competition is that it can be used as an accurate measure of ability, and that information can be used in seeding and handicapping of players in other formats of tournaments. You can buy purpose-built ladders online and cards are inserted. On the card you can have the contact details of the players. Maybe consider an email of contact details that can be sent to verified participants and nothing but the name appears on the card. We live in a crazy world and data protection and safeguarding rules are there to protect us. There are many other formats of sports tournaments and the ladder has many similarities to the pyramid, so you should check that film out. So that's about it for the ladder. Just one last thing for me to say is that if you have enjoyed this film, please give it a like and also subscribe because it really helps the channel. I'm constantly making sports-related films, so please come back and see me soon. If you've got any thoughts on the subject, let me know in the comments below. If you are interested in sport, you really should buy the book, which has thousands of the best sports facts and jokes. It's available online and in all good bookshops.